Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Sir Medieval, and today we're going to be touching on the last few thoughts about Bless Online, probably the last time we'll touch on this game for a little while now. Now first I want to start off by saying that despite the rant, I don't wish ill will in the game. Bless Online had a lot of potential to be better than what it turned out to be. I think it's a great first step that the producer gave us an idea of what kind of content they're going to be producing and pushing from this point onward. Unfortunately, there wasn't really any estimated time of arrival for any of it outside of saying the next several months, and it also didn't include major things that needed to get fixed or changed, such as the server merges, the INI files, the optimization, and more. I also don't personally agree with encouraging other developers to pick up this early access model. In my personal opinion, I think we need to light the early access model on fire and let it die in its grave from this point on. It would be nice to get to a point where games are actually filled with a decent amount of content to hold players over from the get-go. And when it comes to Bless Online, for now it's definitely going to be taking a back seat. Maybe I'll even casually, and I do mean super casually, play on a test server and give feedback from there if it ever becomes a thing, but that all depends on what happens in the next few weeks to months. I'm honestly worried that it could turn into a situation now where, because of the refunds and more than likely the lack of people purchasing the game right now due to remaining skeptical, that if they're paying for those extra servers, unsure of how they're handling that perhaps they won't be able to sustain this game for 6 months to a year and it could literally die like the Russian version, which would really suck to see. Or that it could possibly end up where these changes don't get fixed at all and the remaining players, or at least the vast majority of them, end up getting fed up and start leaving as a result. The feedback's been relayed, so it's really in their hands now. Now, ending on that note, it's time to talk about where we go next. What comes after this? We got off to a really rocky start this year MMORPG wise, but it won't be the only testing phase, hopefully, that will be opening this year and next year. Some of these could end up being hit or miss, but we won't really know until we try at this point. I don't know about you, but I feel like I've got nothing left to lose. So the first one we're going to go for and we'll talk about is Camelot Unchained, a crowd-funded medieval post-apocalyptic tri-RVR game. It's going into beta on July 4th for beta 1, and it's a game that features realm v realm v realm PvP. Running on a custom engine called the Unchained engine and offering over 21 different races split across 3 different realms, 30 classes that we know of, 10 for each faction, and a player-driven economy in which everything, gear, materials, currency is all player-made, alongside the fortifications, buildings, and castles too, etc. This game features a voxel-based building system similar to EverQuest Landmark, and may feature a great experience for players that like that old-school MMORPG feel, or massive PvP/sandboxes. If you're a Dark Age of Camelot fan, this might be the perfect game for you, although it's not being described as a Dark Age of Camelot 2 game. It just has that old-school feel to it, both graphically and in certain aspects of gameplay, but it does a lot to modernize itself and hopefully earn a place in our day and age. I'll definitely be checking this one out and researching more about it and begin creating content for it when the NDA is released. Keep in mind though, if you're interested in joining the beta, it won't be up 24/7 when it starts, although that may be subject to change. But as I understand it, from the beta 1 document that they've released, it looks like it'll only be up on the weekends. I've been playing Guild Wars 2 in my spare time to compensate, so that'll be one of my go-to games to hopefully help with this MMORPG drought we're in. I played Guild Wars 2 before, both for a while when Heart of Thorns was released and for a bit of time when Guild Wars 2 was actually first released, but I've been really enjoying this Path of Fire expansion. Really did feel like all this game needed was mounts, and the storyline is awesome. The next one we're going to be talking about and looking forward to is Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, an upcoming high fantasy MMORPG. There's really no estimated time of arrival as far as I've seen for this game, but there's been a couple of playtests so far with big streamers to showcase a little bit about the game, offering over 9 different races and 12 classes to choose from. Pantheon seeks to deliver both a modernized MMORPG experience while still keeping the best parts of the classics. Safe to say this is one game I'm hoping turns out to be the best of both worlds in terms of PvP and PvE. Gonna keep tabs on this one for sure. Then we've got Lost Ark. There's not even information really on when a Western release will become a thing, but this is an upcoming isometric MMORPG developed by Smilegate. There's been a couple of beta tests for this game so far, and it looks like the final closed beta was just concluded, but we may be getting a testing phase in the eastern regions later this year during Q3 or release. Graphic-wise, it's very impressive, and it seems to incorporate a combat that looks very satisfying once you get the hang of it. This will be one that I'm kinda gonna forget for now, just because it'll probably be a while since we hear more about it, along with Project TL, but this will be one of the ones to look for sure. Hopefully these games will deliver from the get-go as well. Next up is Chronicles of Elyria, an upcoming multiplayer evolving online world, as they call it, Meow, developed by Jeremy Walsh's company of Soulbound Studios. This is a game I've already been backing since 2016, so it's easy for me to say that I'll certainly be keeping tabs on it. The easiest way for me to describe it is one of the closest things we'll get to a medieval simulation on a massive scale. If you mix in Crusader Kings 2, the Guild 2/Renaissance if you played it, with a third-person MMO sandbox on a huge scale, you get an idea of what this game is. There's an in-depth political system, your characters are capable of aging and eventually dying, forcing you to have to transfer your soul into another character, which will probably be your heir. There's an intricate contract system, combat, gathering, kingdom, and land management. It would take hours to cover the possibilities of this game and all the mechanics. I can only hope that this one turns out really well though. This is what I consider to be a massive medieval sandbox and one that I would gladly stake a claim in. The first alpha is said to start sometime this year. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. And the last one we'll want to talk about is Air, Ascent Infinite Realm, an upcoming steampunk-themed MMORPG. When I first took a look at this game from the trailers, it reminded me from Ark Age. Mainly because of the damage numbers and farming system, I saw similarities in it, but I don't want to officially compare the two. I do believe Air may have the potential to offer a decent MMO experience, though from the looks of things it's still in development and still has some kinks to iron out, most notably the optimization, which hopefully will get remedied by the time it goes into launch phase. Being developed by Bluehole Studios, who also developed Terra, and also published by Cow, who ended up getting tied to BDO. Although I'll be more than happy to give this game a try, I'll have to demonstrate some restraint on this one. It looks beautiful graphic wise, but the combat and optimization from what we've seen so far has given me reason to give pause. But hopefully once we get behind the wheel ourselves, possibly sometime either close to the end of the year or next year for the beta testing phase, that will be held for it. The good news is that it should also be a global beta testing phase. Thank God, so we won't have to worry about using a VPN if that's the case. There's a couple others that we won't go into too much detail about, like Project TL, another isometric MMORPG like Lost Ark that looks absolutely phenomenal in both graphics and gameplay, but doesn't have any word yet about a Western release as well. I'm sure when this game pops up on the radar, however, it'll knock things out of the park. Being the successor to Lineage, developed by NCSoft, let's just hope for the best on this one. There's also Crowfall, but with that one, I definitely need to do more research and need to grab more of an insight as to how the community feels about it. There's a ton of gameplay for it already, and it seems to function quite like Camelot Unchained in terms of realm v realm v realm. I actually had a chance to back it. I did back it back in Kickstarter, but I had to get the Kickstarter package refunded, so I wasn't able to get into any testing phase or anything like that. But I think it might be worth checking out, and we can seemingly even jump into it right now to try it. But from some recent videos I've watched being tied to Crowfall podcasts that went out, that got a lot of attention, and some of the community seemingly not liking the fact that they're soft launching in 2019 for one reason or another, this is definitely one that I'll need to look more into before checking out. And that's all of them for now, folks. If any new games pop up on the radar in the time it takes for these games to go into testing phase and even launch, I'll definitely check those out as well. In the next few months, I might try my hand at picking up a console again to add even more games to the playlist. Something I thought I'd never do again, but when you have exclusives like Kingdom Hearts 3 and God of War, that I still haven't played by the way, on these systems coming out and already released, I have to jump in on these. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful night or day. That's everything. I'll see you next time. Later, folks.